What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Essence of Lex. Thank you for joining me again on my Bloom journey. And if you clicked on this video, it's because you're interested in my review and my recap of Zatima Season 2, Episode 2. Before we get into Episode 2, if you have not seen my review and recap of Episode 1 of Season 2 of Zatima, make sure you stop this video, go watch my review and recap to Episode 1, then come back and kick it with me for Episode 2. Episode 1 was more on the lighter side. Episode 1 gave us, some laughs. But Episode 2 is a heavy one. It's an emotional one, so we just going to go ahead and get right into it. Picking up where we left off on Episode 1, Fatima wants Zach to have a side chick. Fatima wants Zach to have a side chick to kind of give her a break from his sexual appetite. Now, silly Zach thought that she meant a real physical woman that he can have on the side. And he should have known better. He know Fatima is not sharing him. So Fatima went outside to go get the side chick. And the side chick is really a sex toy. She came back in the house, with a black discreet bag. Now, this has nothing to do with the episode at all. But I know a lot of us are wondering, where did she get the sex toy from? And I'm not saying like what store or nothing like that. What I'm saying is, if she left her car at work because she had a flat tire and Paul is going to fix it in the morning, why did she grab her keys and go outside? There's no car there. Well, Zach's car is there, but her car is not there. So unless she had the sex toy stored away in Zach's car, which is possible. It could be possible. Maybe, she drove his car one day. I don't know. But all in all, I know it has nothing to do with the storyline, but I know a lot of us was wondering, where did she get the sex toy from if her car was left at work? But like I said, it had nothing to do with the storyline, so we're going to go ahead and get back into it. I guess we can overlook that detail. Maybe we are paying attention entirely too much if we keep noticing stuff that we notice. So Fatima gave Zach the sex toy. He pulled it out the bag, whatever, he reading it. And she telling him, keep going. The box is saying all of the stuff that it can do, and it's basically trying to upsell this side chick. But Zach not feeling the side chick. Zach said, why do I need this when I got you? Pretty much. He say he's not going to touch that thing, but I think he is. I think in a few episodes, maybe the next episode or two, Fatima is definitely going to walk in on him using that side chick. So that was, Fatima's solution, the side chick. So Fatima tells Zach, I'm going to bed. Basically, I don't want to be touched by you tonight. Pretty much like she don't want no Zach Quill tonight. She just need a break. So Fatima brought home takeout for them to eat for dinner. So they sit down at the table, whatever, and eating. Well, Zach is not eating. Zach has a whole tube. He has a whole tube because Fatima don't want to give him none. He's sitting there looking like a mad toddler at that dinner table and side-eyeing her because she won't give him none. Fatima basically explained to him that, like, it's too much. Like, 4 and 6 times a day, like, that is too much. Zach said, he basically is just trying to get it in before she started law school and they won't have as much time, and I don't blame him because when you start law school, she's working, Zach has got a son now and another potential baby on the way. Eventually those wires are going to cross and this is going to become harder and harder to have time for just them two, so I get it, but all in all, 4 and 6 times a day is like crazy. To me, that is crazy. I can see like maybe one day 4 and 6 times, but if you want to do it 4 and 6 times every day, yeah, that's a little. He definitely have a healthy sexual appetite. They get up from eating and go and sit and have a conversation in the living room, and Zach is basically, I guess Zach is like doubting himself and doubting his performance in the bedroom because he asked her like, do you like it? And Fatima tell him like she loves it, If only he could have been a fly on the wall when she was in that office talking to Angela about all of the stuff that he do to her and how he make her feel and all of that. She even tell him, that when you about to get yours and you look me in my eyes and all that type thing, like she communicates that to him, but he still is not getting that it's too much. So like I said in my review and my recap of episode 1 of season 2 of Zatima, the timeline of Zatima currently right now is before a lot of the stuff that happened on Sisters, right? So right now, Fatima is getting it too much. And I think once Zach starts, going to therapy and start trying to figure out the root cause or the root issue of his sexual appetite and all of those things, is going to put them in a drought. So as we fast forward on sisters, now Fatima is deprived. You see what I'm saying? I'm sure that they will work it out and they'll figure out and come to some type of common grounds. But also while they were on the couch and talking or whatever, Zach got a call from his brother Jeremiah. He basically tells Fatima that Jeremiah wants him to go see his mother or whatever. And Fatima basically just kind of, push him to go see her. She knows that she was awful, but you don't ever want to pass up the chance to let her know how you feel. You don't ever, pretty much want her to leave this world and you never get to speak your piece. And I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. And by the end of episode 2, I was like, I don't really know about Zach speaking his piece anymore. I don't even know at this point if his mother is willing to listen and comprehend and take in him speaking his piece. By the end of the episode, I was saying to myself, speaking his piece might cause more harm than good. Speaking his piece might open up old wounds, and that was just by the end of the episode. But realistically, I do agree with Fatima that you never want to be in a position as to where anyone in this world generally, not just your parents, but anyone in this world leave and you didn't have your chance to speak your piece and let them know how you feel or anything like that. I totally agree with that. Zach said he was going to go see her only because, she told him to. Of course. But before we get into Zach and his mom, I want to talk about briefly Fatima's parents. Fatima told him pretty much, my parents don't know about you and my parents don't know that I'm staying here with you. Pretty much is what I got from that. So I have a couple of questions around that. One, Fatima was raised by her grandmother. She has said that a couple of times. So it's going to be interesting to see the relationship that she has with her mom and her dad. It's going to be interesting to see what, childhood traumas that she have and what things that she went through in her childhood. Because she told Zach that, her parents like things done a specific way. So I'm definitely interested in her backstory with her parents and just her backstory in general. And from the first 2 episodes, you can tell that that's how this season is going to be. You can tell this season is going to be a little more character development for everybody. You can tell that this season is going to be, we get to know more about Zach and Fatima. And then I had another question surrounding Fatima's parents. And I can't remember what the other question was. If I remember it, I'll ask it down below in the comments. But it just was a shock to me that, she hadn't told her parents about him yet. That definitely was a shock to me. And if Angela, I'm assuming Angela know her parents. And the way that Angela ran her mouth, Angela... Also during that scene, Fatima tells Zach about her having a flat tire or whatever. And he asked her, well, like, why didn't you call me? I could have came and fixed it and all that. And Fatima told him it wasn't that serious. And to Zach it was. Zach told her, like, why don't you let me be there for you? Like, why don't you... Pretty much what Angela was saying. At the end of the day, Angela was right. No matter if she was trying to be helpful or if it was her... dislike for him, whatever it was in that moment, Angela was right about, basically a man wanting a woman to need him type thing. And that's pretty much what Zach displayed when Fatima told him about Paul and all that. He was upset about that. And speaking of that, and I don't think I talked about this in my episode 1, the review and recap, but Fatima basically is submissive, and I don't think she realized. Okay, hold on. Let me see how can I word this and how can I put this together. Fatima is submissive, but she doesn't want them. It's crazy because as she was sitting there talking to Angela about being submissive and all that, she realized that she was submissive, but she basically don't want to be submissive because the man told her to be submissive. Basically, Fatima told Angela that pretty much she doesn't want to need Zach. She doesn't want to need Zach because if she, get into a place as to where she needs Zach, and if a moment comes up as to where she really needs Zach and he doesn't show up for her, she doesn't want to be in that space. And that's just, Fatima's fear again, Fatima reservation again, Fatima just in general, a woman working through different things after being hurt over and over again, so that's just her reservation. And I think that, she doesn't realize it, but she does need Zach, if that makes sense. I'm probably talking in circles, so I'm gonna get off this topic, but all in all, I'm saying that to say that, that's just her reservation and, a process that she's gonna have to go through. Let's get into this emotional part of the episode and the ending of episode 2. So Zach went to see his mama. And Zach going to see his mama, brought up his childhood trauma. Zach going to see his mama, pretty much put him, back in that body of a 6-year-old boy again. We're going to get into the scene. It's very much emotional. It's very much, can be triggering for some. Zach walk up, he walked past his mother. Zach walked past his mother at first. And then, he saw her. She asked for a hug. He didn't want to hug her, clearly. And Jeremiah is just Jeremiah. I'm not even going to. He's very much irrelevant. I mean, he's relevant to Zach as a person. But in this moment, we're just going to focus on Zach and his mama. So his mama, Miss Gladys, started, talking about, his bougie girlfriend and how he got this money and how he bought this house and basically setting it up to ask for some money, pretty much. That's where this is going. You wanted to see him to ask for some money. That's it. Plain and simple, that's all she wanted. She tried to play on his emotions like she cared and wanted to see him and all of that BS. No, she wanted some money. She even said something like, we don't want anything from you. But then turned right around and asked him for like 2 or 3 things. First she said something about the house is big, so do you got room over there for me? Because they about to kick me out of my spot. The house they have is very nice. It really is nice. But they do not have room for you or anybody else. They ain't even got no room for this son that Zach got now. They gonna need a big house. Then she asked him, well, help your brother get a truck. He want to start a moving company. And I'm like, and initially I went to, what the F? What the F? What did Jeremiah do with the $10,000 check that Zach gave him in season 1? What did he do with that? That's enough to get him a truck and start a moving company. What did he do with the $10,000? Then another thing she asked for was some groceries. She needs some food. She really didn't need no groceries. She didn't need no food. She just wanted him to give her the money. And I don't understand that when Jeremiah was back there, he had money in his hand. I don't understand why she just didn't get it from him. This whole start of Zach coming to see his mother was just a spiral of emotions for Zach. So Zach tell her, well, I'll take you to the grocery store, but I'm not giving you no money. They pull up, in front of the store or whatever. Zach is saying, okay, what you need, I'm going to go in here and get it for you. And she basically saying, I can go in there and get it myself. Just give me the $100 type thing. She had already had intentions on trying to figure out a way to get the $100 and abandon him yet again. She had no intentions, none whatsoever, going in that store and getting groceries. She had already tried to work out a plan and figure out how she was going to abandon Zach again. Emotional abuse. Emotional abuse. She said something like, well, how are you going to ever trust me and see that I changed if you don't give me a chance? What? And he gave her a chance. He gave her the $100, but still went in the store with it, right? In the midst of them being in the store or whatever, Zach runs into Connie, which is, I guess his ex-girlfriend. They're chopping it up. Well, really, she's chopping it up with him. because Zach is not really saying too much to her, you know. But during that conversation with Connie, Zach's mom was able to slip away and leave him at that store again. But let me back up a little bit. Fatima knows the story with Zach and his mom. So she calls to check on him. And she definitely can hear something in his voice that something is wrong with him and something is bothering him. So she told him she was going to wait up for him or whatever. But what I want to mention is that while Zach was on the phone with Fatima, Connie comes up or whatever. And Fatima was like, well, who is that? Zach said something like some man or some junk, he said. And then two, Fatima told him she loved him. But it's like Zach didn't really want to say it in front of Connie. But he cleaned it up a little bit. He did tell Connie he was engaged and that, you know, he couldn't get her number because he was engaged. So he cleaned it up a little bit. But sometimes Zach, man, Zach just be, I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, let's get back to the serious note. So Zach, you know, ends this conversation with Connie and walks out of the aisle and realizes that his mom left the buggy in the middle of the store. And he feels that abandonment feeling again right in the middle of the store. So Zach pulls up to the house. I think Zach's car is a Porsche. I think it's a Porsche. I don't remember exactly what his car is, but you basically can hear his car as he pulling up into their house. So Fatima looks out the window or whatever, and she notices that he's just sitting in the car. So she goes to check on him. And this scene right here, baby, this scene right here in this car between Zach and Fatima, whew, let's get out of character for a second. Let's give a round of applause to DeVal. Yes, he murdered that scene. He bodied that scene. You could tell that he cried literally right there in that car, and it was real tears. I'm interested to know where did he pull from to get in that mind state and in that state of acting to where he can deliver that scene the way that he delivered it. I don't know if he'll ever tell us or not where he pulled from to get emotional in that moment, but bravo to him. He killed that scene. He really killed that scene. And it was just like, again, when they deliver the emotions, whatever emotion that they are trying to deliver, you feel it through the screen as always. This scene just made you understand Zach's character more. It made you understand Zach 10 times more. It really did. Like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. It makes sense why he took Karen's emotional abuse. It made sense why it's hard for him to stand up to women. It made sense why Fatima has been a better woman from him from jump. It makes sense as to why, you know, his sexual appetite probably is going to be linked to some of his childhood trauma. You know, his sexual appetite and him having sex, you know, probably was a coping method to him. You know, so I'm pretty sure they're going to explore that, you know, a little bit more as he go to therapy and all that. But like I said, you know, it just makes so much sense now. It makes sense why Zach didn't believe in himself. Like, it all makes sense. It's like everything came full circle in this moment. And yes, we knew about a little details that they mentioned on Sister. They didn't really go deep into details. We just knew that his mother was awful. So I think, at least for me, I don't know about for everybody else, but I think seeing this scene and seeing him interact with his brother and interact with his mother, and everything just came full circle to me, and it just make you want to break down and cry for Zach. Even if in that moment nothing he said, you know, relates to you, or if nothing he said triggered you, or if nothing he said, you know, was similar to any of your traumas, that in that moment and the way that he delivered that scene, it just made you want to break down and cry for him. You know, I'm getting a little, I'm not gonna cry on this camera, but I'm getting a little, you know, choked up a little bit, just really, you know, watching it and seeing it play back in my head right now as I'm talking about it. Fatima showed Zach from the very beginning that his mother should have showed him. And it's I don't want to go too deep. I really don't want to go too deep, because if I go too deep, then I'm going to get choked up and then I'm going to start crying. And I don't want to start crying on this camera. But Fatima came into Zach's life at the right place at the right time. He needed that. Zach tell Fatima, you know, about his childhood a little bit. Zach mother was Zach mother, was something else. That small time frame of interaction that he had with Gladys, what maybe an hour, depending on where they went to the store. It probably hadn't even been an hour that they had been in person with each other. That interaction with his mother, may put him back into that place and that mind frame of a 6-year-old, put him back into that abandonment feeling, putting him back into that, mind frame that he's not worthy. And he asked Fatima, like, do you love me? Fatima reassured him that she do love him. Zach tell Fatima, about the story of when his mom left him when he was 6. And he correlated it to his mom leaving him again at that grocery store. Zach broke down and cried. What I truly loved about this moment with him and Fatima is that, Fatima held him and Fatima allowed him to be vulnerable. She reassured him that she's not leaving him. And she reassured him that it was okay for him to basically just let it out. She allowed him to get it out without interrupting him, without looking at him differently. She basically was just like his comfort. And he needed that in that moment. I'm glad Fatima convinced him to go talk to somebody, because he definitely needs to talk to somebody. And I'm glad that Tyler Perry is writing this into the script. 1, it is okay for a man to be vulnerable and express his feelings. It doesn't make him less than a man when he does that. 2, in general, us as Black people don't like to go to therapy. So I'm glad he's introducing, them going to therapy this season. Really glad about that. He initially said he wasn't going to go. He initially was against it, as a lot of people are, especially our people. But Fatima told him she doesn't know how to change or combat the awful things that his mom did to him. And she said that, we're talking about having a family and spending the rest of our lives together. So, we need all the tools that we can, in order to enter into that phase of our lives together. And she is totally 100% right in that. 100% right in that. There's only so much that Fatima can do from her side to help Zach. And vice versa. There's only so much that Zach can do. At some point, they have to, so they just have to be responsible for their own healing, in a sense. And Fatima is right. She can't change or combat the things that, Zach's mom did to him, or what anybody did to him for that matter. She can't change or combat that. But I don't even think Fatima realizes fully yet the impact she has had on Zach so far. Like Zach said in what, I think he said this in season 2, or it might have been season 3, season 2 or season 3, where, they was at Fatima's place and he told her that, I wouldn't be this man without you. That is true. That is true. I've always said that Zach has always had it in him, and Fatima didn't necessarily just gave him all the tools. It was already in him, but she definitely helped bring it out of him. When she told him he had the potential to be great and all of that, man, listen. She shows up for him in so many ways, so many different ways, and in ways that he hasn't experienced yet. Never has experienced a person showing up for him in the ways that Fatima has. They said it's going to be a roller coaster this season, but, it's really been a roller coaster since Zach and Fatima met.